If you continue watching this video, you'll soon see me do something that is quite stupid. In the meantime, I'll catch everyone up. If you haven't watched part 1 of this project, this is where we left off. I was gone for work for a few days, and while I was away, central Maine apparently had a freak windstorm, the likes of which we just don't see here. Those Chinese sure can pull off a very convincing hoax, can't they? Anyway, the damage wasn't that bad. I've experienced worse when I was farming in the middle of a bare hill, but it still requires fixing. Everything was going along quite well until I noticed the foundation board on this end had somehow been inverted with the pipe. I need to move it back before finishing the repairs on this gable end. Ultimately, I want to be able to put this board back where it goes without disconnecting all the punch hole strapping holding it in place. I wasn't able to do it with just the leverage of my own strength, at least not for the first attempt. Luckily, I have this pry bar, which is a wonderful tool that I use in many different applications around the homestead. However, the stupid thing I mentioned earlier, you're about to see it in 3, 2, 1. There it is. The one rule you hold above all others when dealing with a hoop house like this is that the plastic is to be protected at all costs. It's incredibly expensive. There's nothing wrong with using the pry bar in this method as long as my hand had stayed on the top. It's the leaving it set up like this and then racking the foundation that makes it stupid. I was aware of the stupidity while doing it, and it looks much worse from this angle. In reality, the thing that was most likely to happen is that the pry bar would have fallen to the ground inside the hoop house. But there was a greater than zero possibility that the top could have gone the other way and punched through the plastic. Or if it had fallen, the bottom of the pry bar could have bounced up and punctured the plastic lower down. I was lucky this time, but this video project is definitely helping me reduce things like this. It's powerful to see yourself mess up. Now that I have the hoop house back to its original spot, and close to the original dimensions, I'm putting the anchors in again. This time, I'm going to drive them in even deeper, use different materials in some cases, and put some of them in at an even steeper angle. I think I should be okay for at least a month, which is about the time I should be ready to plant tomatoes, which means this hoop house will be unanchored, moved ahead one plot, and re-anchored over those tomato plants. Alright, so I figured out why, or how. I guess why. I still don't know how. Anyway, I figured out why that foundation board was in underneath the hoop. And it has to do with this joint here. So there's a seam here on the board. This is, if you recall from my winter video of building the foundation, clearing all the snow, I broke this board when it was frozen to the ground. And so I had to cut it and splice it. And at this splice, it looks like the screws have broken on the board inside. So I'm gonna have to go in and get some longer screws and fix that. But in the meantime, I've straightened it out enough to put a screw in it, I think. That'll get me, hopefully that'll get me anchored again. The hoop house wasn't the only thing around here that was picked up and tossed around. In addition to the loose odds and ends I picked up from the lawn and the south woods, which is really an indication I'm not yet where I need to be in terms of putting things away when I'm done with them, this sheet of silage tarp also became unmoored. I used this tarp material to solarize my garden plots. It's been here all winter under the snow. The idea is when the snow melts, the black plastic attracts and then to some extent stores the sun's warmth. This not only allows earlier planting for some varieties and cultivars, but also kills a lot of weeds because they germinate in the top 2 inches of warm, moist, dark conditions. Then they're quickly smothered when they emerge into an environment that is too hot and contains no light. If I don't put this plastic back, it will have been out here all winter for nothing. I'll have lost that weed-killing benefit. While I would certainly rather the hoop house hadn't been picked up, moved, and damaged by the wind, all in all, this was a late afternoon well spent. I'm quite busy with work these days and don't get outside much during the day. So anything that gets me out here early in the morning or late in the afternoon, early evening, especially on a day when I can be out in a sweatshirt, is welcome. And there really isn't anything else to do outside at this point in the year when there's still too much snow and mud to be in the woods or the garden. But now it's getting dark, and since the hoop house is back to where it should be, albeit with some minor plastic repairs that need yet to be done, it's time to worry about some of the things that are inside the hoop house. But that takes me back inside.